Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I know John would have loved us to be on time and very efficient this morning. My name is Brian Hammond. I'm the chairman of the Lee County Board of County Commissioners, and I'm also a friend of Commissioner Manning's, who served with him for nearly 7 years until he retired. This morning, I'd like to begin by recognizing my fellow commissioners from District 1, Commissioner Kevin Ruane, who also shares Cape Coral with me. I'd like to recognize from District 2, Commissioner Cecil Pendergrass, and from District 3, Commissioner Ray Sandelli. Commissioner Mike Greenwell is unable to join us this morning. He had a prior commitment. Donna Manning, Commissioner John Manning's wife, is also in attendance with us today, and she'll be helping me come up later and unveil the plaque which bears John's name. This morning we're joined by several elected officials. I'd like to welcome our constitutional officers, our Supervisor of Elections, Tommy Doyle, our Clerk of Courts, Kevin Carnes. Cape Coral Mayor John Gunter has joined us this morning, along with Cape Coral City Council members Tom Hayden and Gloria Rasso-Tate. We're also joined this morning by a former Cape Coral mayor who served with John Manning, and that's Mayor Joe Mazurkowitz. Thank you for joining us as well. This morning we're joined by Aaron Dever from Senator Rick Scott's office, and of course our County Manager Roger DeJarlais and our County Attorney Richard Wesch. So we're here this morning to dedicate the Lee County Government Building here in Cape Coral in honor of Commissioner John E. Manning. John passed away earlier this year in July, and this building was his second district office for many years. In fact, we're actually standing in what was once John's former parking space. Commissioner Manning was appointed to the Lee County Board of County Commissioners in 1988, and he served as a county commissioner for more than 12 years at that point. John then took a little break and came back on the county commission, being appointed in 2010, where he remained on the board for another 10 years until 2020 when he retired. Only 3 other county commissioners in Lee County's history have served more time in office as a commissioner than John Manning did. Manning was also a Cape Coral resident for many years, and he was a Cape Coral City Council member prior to becoming a county commissioner. He advocated for fiscal responsibility, for a strong business economy, and one thing John absolutely cared about was conserving our precious land and environment here in Lee County. This morning, I'd like to ask my colleagues to share a few memories about Commissioner Manning, and I'll start with Commissioner Pendergrass.
Thank you, Commissioner Hammond. Yeah, we truly miss John. And Donna and your family, thank you for everything. And I'm glad you're here this morning to recognize John. You know, if you knew John, you know he was a man of very few words, and he had impeccable timing for his dry sense of humor. It always kept me on my toes. Is one thing I remember working with him. He was one of my first colleagues when I got on the Board of County Commissioners, and was the timing of his comments during the board meetings. I don't care if it was public comment or during the board meeting, he had a perfect time for his dry sense of humor. So always kept us on our toes and to think about what's he going to do next, or just to look. He also taught me the first day I was on the job was I was chairman. The first thing he said to me, he goes, 30 seconds, get us out of here. And you know, and I remember literally throughout my career there with him over the next 8 years, was he would constantly look at me and give me that look, sit in this chair like this and look at his watch. I'm like, I got it. I'm getting through this, okay? But you know, he was always the first one there. I always used to joke with him, no matter what time I got there in the morning at 8 o'clock, 7:45, he was always there first. And I remember one morning I went down to his office and I said, do you just sleep here? He says, probably. And I'm like, well, I never can beat you here. You're always here no matter what time I got there one morning at 7:15. He was already there. So it was always he was always fun to work with, and I miss his humor and most of all his kindness to people. You know, he really enjoyed his job. Like Commissioner Hammond said, he really wanted to protect the environment here in Lee County and Cape Coral. But he was one of those guys where you really didn't know what he was doing out front. He was always behind the scene kind of guy where you always wonder, well, what's he doing? You don't really heard anything from him. But behind the scenes, I'd find out a week later or a month later, oh, Commissioner Manning did this. And you don't even know he was doing it. And it's just, you know, it's just so great to work with him. What a nice person. So congratulations to his family for us honoring him here today. This is something John would not wanted. We all know that because he wanted to be kind of behind the scenes, but I know he appreciates everything we're doing and everything we're thinking about him. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner Pendergrass. At this time, I'd like to call Commissioner Kevin Ruane, followed by Commissioner Ray Sandelli.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning. Donna, my memories are with you. I can't imagine what you're going through. I had the privilege of serving with John. He actually represented Sanibel, which was one of his part of his district, and we talked about a lot of things. But I remember one night, and I was with Donna and John. It was actually primary night, and I sat with both of them and said, "I've never been to a primary where the candidate I was behind lost. I'll bring you good luck." And I remember that all too well. And sure, then you know what? He won. It was a squeaker, but we certainly got through that primary with Bob Chemomik. So I remember that all too well. And he says, "All right, you need to be here every time that I run for office." I said, "Okay, I'll do that." But the other fond memory I have is receiving the call and John indicating, "It's your turn. I'm retiring, and I want to endorse you, so go out and run." And it's an honor to actually serve in his district. It's an honor to be here for him, and I hope I live up to the things he accomplished for Lee County. Thank you.
Well, good morning. And as some of you may know, my appointment came rather suddenly, and so I needed to do two things. One is I needed to find out where the building was, and number two, I needed to meet the team. So John's office was right across from mine, so I walked across the hall and introduced myself, and "Come on in, kid." And it was a very brief discussion, and I thought maybe it would be a little more engaging and stuff, but I'll get to know him over time.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, something like that. So what I found, though, was that was his style. And so I finally get to my first meeting, and they start working through, the program. And I'm just trying to assess what's going on. The first thing I hear is "move the item." I'm going, "Move the item? What's the item, and where's it going, and what's happening here?" And that was things, as Cecil said, it's move it, keep it moving and stuff like that. I found out that was John's style. He wanted to keep it moving. He wanted to cover as much as he could. And you learn from everybody. I feel a great honor to be here today to honor him, and I hope that this dedication inspires young people today to think about government service, and we'll do that in his light. Thanks.
Well, hey, John, it's my turn to talk now. And I feel like I get to pay him back for all those times he looked at me and said, "I got socks older than you, kid." So that's right, John, you were a lot older than me. It talks about that John joined the Board of County Commissioners in 1988. Well, I was 8 years old. I was in elementary school with Hal Arkin's daughter, Carrie, at that point at Cape Elementary. So, but I say that to say that a big part of why I've been able to live here, a big part of why I've been able to succeed here and find a career here and raise a family here is due to the work that John Manning put into the county commission. Like I mentioned earlier, John was the fourth longest serving county commissioner in the history of Lee County. And there probably isn't a single thing that you couldn't drive by that John didn't have a part in making a decision on. Whether it's the Midpoint Bridge or the beautiful preserve that's beside the Midpoint Bridge, John was always thinking about how to make this community a better place for people to live, work, and raise a family. And so on behalf of not only a grateful family, but a grateful community, it is really a privilege to dedicate this building to John Manning today. And so this morning I would like to ask his wife, Donna, to please join me up here by the plaque as we unveil this plaque that bears John's name and names the building for him. Later, this plaque will be permanently installed by the main entrance to the building once we complete our ceremony. So we'll join here for pictures, and after that, we'll conclude our ceremony. Oh, yeah. I didn't see that. Yeah, absolutely. Donna, would you come and join me on this side? Absolutely. And commissioners, would you come in behind us? Everybody ready? 1, 2. You're welcome. Yeah. Here's Donna.
Good morning. You have to look down to see me, but I really am here, and it is an honor and a privilege. It was always a proud moment in my life to stand beside my husband, who truly loved every single bit of Lee County, the people in it. This was what John was all about. And I know, John, I always talk too much. So with that, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all, his supporters, everyone who touched him in a very special, meaningful way, and certainly to the commissioners and the plaque, everything is just amazing. And where's Joe? Thanks, Joe. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be where we are. I think John negotiated the first leasing space with you, the city and the county, and look at what it turned out to be. So thank you again, and have a wonderful day. Enjoy this weather. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, and we are adjourned.